Most of us fumble through the opportunity to make meaningful improvements in our shops because, well, we're too busy. But what if I told you that how you approach shop furniture and infrastructure is the second most important thing that you can do to grow as a maker? Don't believe me? Let me show you. This video is sponsored by Factor. We've all been there. There's something about your shop that's been nagging at you for a while. Maybe there's a cluster you've just grown used to, a general lack of workspace, or you're just tired of constantly playing musical shop chairs, moving things out of your own way. What's the first thing you do? Ignore it, of course. We've got better things to do. But one day something snaps and we decide to finally do something about it. Build that shop thing to solve the problem. Your first instinct is naturally going to be to fabricable some half-plan 2x4 contraption together, like this gem. But please God, put down the construction lumber, at least at first. You see, I have a theory. I believe that your shop and the infrastructure within it is directly tied to your mindset as a maker. Your shop is the biggest tool in your arsenal, and having it set up intentionally not only makes you more efficient, but I believe also unlocks a level of creative freedom most don't even know exists. I'll go more into that later. Let me be clear though, I am not saying that your ability or skill is in any way tied to the quality of your shop or tools. No amount of Festool sustainers, woodpecker aluminum, or SawStop hot dogs alone is going to build you cool stuff. That's all on you. What I'm honing in on is the intentional aspect of the shop, and a big piece of that is the shop furniture within it. Before starting to build any shop furniture, instead of picking up that familiar 2x4, pick up a pencil. Sketch out what you need. Think through what it needs to do, why, and how else you can use it. In my opinion, a piece of shop furniture should do at minimum 3 things. Perform a specific task, utilize the volume or space as efficiently as possible, and make your life easier. That last one's important. We'll come back to that. Now, the popular counter argument to what I'm saying is, oh, I hate building shop furniture. I just want to get to building what I like charcuterie boards and cutting boards and stuff. I get it. And as weird as it sounds, we're actually trying to get to the same end goal. If you're stopping to address a shop issue, take that little extra time to take it from checks the box to, oh wow, that's actually pretty nice to use. By the way, I should probably tell you what I'm making. I've got this laser cutter sitting on this makeshift workbench in this room, and frankly, it's taking up a bunch of space while also not being that organized. 2 things I despise. This X-Tool P2 laser cutter weighs approximately 7,000 pounds, and moving it, like to avoid this water leak a couple of weeks ago, really isn't very fun to do alone. What I want to do is create a cart, purpose-built for this machine. Now I could just build a little shelf on wheels and call it a day. But no, that is shop okayness. In order to use the volume of this cart as efficiently as possible, I first had to think about everything it needed to do, as well as what it could do, making sure that actually using this tool was easier than ever. So checking each of the 3 items we talked about earlier. So obviously it has to hold up the laser cutter. Duh. But I also want to house the smoke purifier and any materials that I use on it, which vary in size. But then there's other things like distilled water for the laser tube, antifreeze, and some odds and ends that are helpful just to have close. Once that's all laid out, I like to think about ease of use. Drew Witt over at Wittworks just did a great video on tool storage in the shop. Highly recommended. And he talks about first and second order of retrievability. First order, out in the open, easy to see and access. Second order is inside a cabinet or a drawer. Now for my particular use case here, there isn't a whole lot of first order needs, so I can put most of it within the cabinet. The final stage is aesthetics, and most people skip right on past this part because, well, it's shop furniture, right? Here is why most people are wrong. There are 2 giant missed opportunities here. Number 1 is to practice techniques that you'd likely want to apply to your actual projects. You want to get better at applying a finish, you want to try a new coating, need to dial in those paint sprayer settings. You get to do all that without the consequences of an angry customer or recipient. Number 2 is that a nice looking piece of shop furniture will positively affect your mental state when you're in your shop. You'll take pride in your space and feel energized by it. If you think I'm full of crap, then I can guess what your shop looks like. If you know, you know. Now, are these extra planning and finishing steps necessary for the utility of the item? Absolutely not. But remember, your shop should be so much more than just a utility. For a lot of us, it's an outlet, a stress reliever, even a sanctuary. It's time to start treating it like one. So if after all of that careful consideration and planning you decide to reach for that construction lumber, so be it. There's nothing wrong with that if it's used intentionally and not reactionary. As you can see, I'm building this cart more like a cabinet to preserve the interior space and make room for all of the features I've planned. Also, can I just say how much more enjoyable and smooth the project goes if you start with an actual plan? We've all built organically, but it comes with so many frustrations and eventual compromises in the finished product. I'll bet you $100 you can't wing a project and have it come out perfect. Because it's like the dude on the $100 bill says, if you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail. This project for me is a test of a couple of things. One, I'm building half of it in my home shop and the other half in its eventual home, my commercial space. I don't have nearly as much capability when it comes to tools in the commercial space, so I'm having to do things a little bit different. And two, I'm going to try and incorporate some slightly ridiculous details in this build as an experiment. I don't know about you, but I get excited when I get to try new things when it comes to making stuff. I know that even if it doesn't go well, I'm bound to learn something. I hope that by the end of this, I have a CNC laser cart that I can be proud of, one that inspires me to use it, and of course, makes it easy and convenient. Speaking of convenient, do you remember the 3 things that a piece of shop furniture must do? That last one, make your life easier, isn't just a matter of convenience. No, it's much more than that. When a tool becomes convenient to use, you're much more likely to seamlessly flow into using it, remaining in that flow state we all strive for. You know what I'm talking about. When you're in the zone and things are just falling into place effortlessly, it's hard to achieve, and for most of us, we just see glimpses of it until something kicks us out of that state, like trying to find a tool or having to shuffle things around or perform a task. I think that one of the easiest ways to get into and stay in that flow state is to create a shop environment that makes making things frictionless and enjoyable. This means that the form and function of your shop itself can play a huge role here. Surrounding yourself with great shop infrastructure is key. Make the space enjoyable to be in and to look at. We can set ourselves up for success in daily life in the same way by watching what we put in our bodies. That's why I use Factor, a subscription service that delivers fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. I eat one of these every day for lunch because, like you, I'm busy and I want to get the most out of my day, but I don't want to sacrifice my health in the process. Each week I get a box full of meals ready for the fridge, and when I'm hungry, I just pop in the microwave for 2 minutes and enjoy. The food is legitimately good too, and with tons of options each week to choose from, you won't get bored, I promise. This busy holiday season, cross off meal prepping from your list and enjoy flavor-packed meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I've recently been adding the protein shakes to my orders as a midday snack. One thing I love about Factor is the flexibility. Adding new things and changing around your orders is easy. Plus, you can skip weeks if you're going to be out of town or you just want a break. With options like keto, vegan, calorie smart, and protein plus, there's something for just about everyone. If you want to give it a try, which I highly suggest you do, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code SHOPNATION50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That's factor75.com or click the link and use code SHOPNATION50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. So I know some people are going to watch me build this completely over-the-top shop cart and say, wow, dude, all that just for a CNC laser? And to those people I would say, you're missing the entire point. I'm not advocating for you to overbuild all of your shop stuff. I'm just telling you that underbuilding it will cost you far more than the time saved in doing so. Spending the bare minimum time on shop infrastructure may get you back to building faster in the short term, but it will ultimately mean you're less productive and creative over time. Think of it like an investment. Spending that time now means dividends for years to come. How cool would it be to walk into your shop with a clear mind, get right into building, and staying in that flow state for as long as possible? That should be the goal. Getting back to doing what you love in your sanctuary. Take sanding, for example, a task not many of us love to do. But if you set yourself up with the right equipment, like this 3M sander and dust extractor, the task itself doesn't introduce unnecessary friction. No pun intended. Highly efficient sandpaper like this extract mesh paired with a dual HEPA filter extractor means sanding takes way less time and requires pretty much no cleanup. 2 things I used to dread doing during sanding, and that would for sure kick me out of any flow state. Okay, so as I'm getting closer to the finishing touches on this cart, the ridiculous factor will start to ramp up, starting with the top. Now, a sensible person would just make a simple top because most of it's going to be covered up by the laser. But why pass up on this opportunity? My first idea was to make a sort of checkerboard MDF glue up, but I'm instead opting for this nice black melamine. It'll be more durable than plywood or MDF alone and just looks great. I'll even admit that sometimes practicality just plain makes sense. Now normally I would paint this cart to match the rest of my shop furniture color scheme. I know it's not for everyone, but I really like the way it looks. For this project though, I'm instead going to apply some clear finish on top of this ridiculously expensive, but really cool looking maple plywood. Look at me. I'm again trying something I wouldn't normally do. Now to address this material storage area. I'm making some simple dividers out of 1/8" hardy board that will help keep things organized. I like this because it really cleans up that interior space without taking a lot of work or taking up a bunch of room. Now onto the doors. You could of course opt for some standard clean doors to cover up this area and give the cart a finished look. But again, I think we're missing a huge opportunity here. I wanted to have some fun with this cart and instead designed up some aluminum laser cut doors and acrylic backing to really add some personality to this thing. I drew these in Fusion 360 and then sent them over to Send Cut Send to have cut out. I think they came out awesome. And using services like Send Cut Send means that literally anyone can add crazy elements to any project. And finally, it wouldn't be a Shop Nation project without some 3D printed accessories to really tie this thing together and, of course, piss off the grumpy viewers who just want me to fall in line and hand cut some dovetails. Maybe with my laser. Again, are these necessary? No. Are they cool? Yes. With that, the laser cart is complete. And I've got to say, this thing is kind of nuts, in a good way. And of course, I could call this thing good, but why stop there? I had this giant acrylic sign made a while back by Bad Dog Signs. You should definitely go check them out. And I've been looking for a good spot for it. I think this back wall will be perfect since it's in plain view of the whole building. The term shop greatness has been my mantra for years and can be defined as the constant pursuit of continuous improvement of your shop. I like to think of it as a pursuit because in reality, I'll never get there, and neither will you. What's important is that we keep chipping away at it. What can be optimized to make creating more enjoyable? How can I create an environment where my mind is free and energized to maximize my creative potential? The last detail, of course, is to add some LED lights to this cart because everyone on YouTube seems to do that. Come on, you didn't expect that I would really do that, right? I mean, let's be honest, that would just be corny.